Hello everyone, I'm JG and welcome back to Music Forever, where today we're reviewing the new album from Public Enemy, Nothing is Quick in the Desert. Public Enemy are one of those kind of classic hip-hop groups that, I feel like not many people nowadays have, truly appreciate to the full degree because, they are an older group. They typically do have an older sound, especially their classic albums that they have. But, they're a group that really helped get me into hip-hop because of a lot of the heavier kind of sounds that they had, particularly with rock music. I know they had that one remix of Bring the Noise with Anthrax. I was already an Anthrax fan before that, as well as using other kind of rock beats at times throughout their career. Like on the one track from, they had one track where they remixed the guitar riff from Slayer's Angel of Death. I thought that was really cool because I'm a Slayer fan also. And here on their new album, it's not something I was exactly expecting from Public Enemy because I know that the Chuck D was a part of the Prophets of Rage kind of supergroup that was going to be releasing their first album this September, which was something I was kind of looking forward to. So, I didn't exactly expect a new Public Enemy record out anytime soon because I figured he was working on that. So to get this album only a couple months before that album's supposed to come out, kind of had me a bit confused, but, it is what it is. I'm always happy to get new Public Enemy material because, like I said before, I am a pretty big fan. And here with this album, I wasn't exactly sure what I was going to be getting lyrically or, in terms of the beats. I remember hearing their last album a while back. When it comes to newer Public Enemy material, I'm not as well versed in it as I am with their classic material from the 80s, the 90s, but I did remember hearing their last album, though I do not remember all too much about it. I remember liking it, but not to the point where, I was revisiting it a ton. But here with this album, I wasn't quite sure what I was going to be getting here. It was released for free for a period of time around July 4th, and that's where I got it. And, I believe that there are, you can buy it eventually later on, or there are going to be physical copies later on. I'm not 100% sure about all that, though I do know that it's coming again in, some other capacity besides the free release that they did on July 4th, or around July 4th. I actually downloaded it July 5th, so, it was just around that time. But pretty much this album here, Public Enemy are kind of, back at again what, they typically do well. The beats here on this album have a very kind of heavy sound to them, kind of a rock-leaning sound to them, like I was talking about before, that this this group has definitely, dabbled in that kind of sound before, and here they're kind of completely embracing it. There's lots of guitars here, lots of just aggressive, kind of hard rock sounds here present in the beats. But they do also have kind of that old school hip hop sort of flavor that was present on, all of Public Enemy's sort of classic albums. It's kind of a hybrid between those two sounds, and I think it works nicely here. And it's, it works even better given the fact that I think all these tracks flow together very well, in my opinion. It feels to a degree almost like one big continuous track at times, because they used lots of interludes here on the album and just kind of shorter tracks to tie everything together. And overall, it just flows together very nicely, in my opinion. It just, from start to end, it feels like one big long experience, but in a good way. While I do really enjoy the direction that the production and, just the overall flow of this album takes here on this project, there is some rather large problems I think I have with some of the lyrics that are presented here on this project. Most notably, it's just that Public Enemy, they just sound like a bunch of old men here a lot of the time. And now, to put things into perspective, I do like lots of older hip-hop. Like I said before, I'm a big Public Enemy fan. I also like lots of hip-hop from the 80s, the 90s, pretty much from any time. I'm on board with it. But here, Public Enemy kind of make it their mission on a lot of these tracks to discuss kind of the current state of hip-hop, and, it kind of doesn't exactly pan out well, in my opinion, just because I don't think they take into account everything that they really should be taking into account. I know that, I'll take for example on the closing track that we get here, Rest in Beats. This track, where they're kind of listing off lots of famous rappers that have just, passed away, unfortunately, over the years. And, of course, they're kind of praising the greats here, which is, of course, very important, but at the same time, they're kind of, questioning why exactly, you have things like mumble rappers nowadays, or meme rappers, things like that. Though, while they are very critical of these, kind of like meme rappers, mumble rappers, SoundCloud rappers, that whole kind of, what's kind of popular right now in hip-hop, I guess you could say. Kind of the whole pop rap of, 2017 and just this time period. Which, for the record, I'm not a big fan of, honestly. There's very few artists and songs of this kind of modern popular hip-hop genre that I'm a fan of, to be honest. And I agree with a lot of what Public Enemy is saying here. It's just really the way that they're saying it is just doesn't exactly work out all that well, because they seem to also ignore lots of artists that are doing, lyrical content, that do have a lot of personality to them, while still being popular. Of course, you do have more underground artists, take like Run the Jewels, for example, or Death Grips, or Brockhampton. Some of those artists have recently released some very good material, it's in 2017, the same time period as a lot of these, popular rappers. And then, of course, you have other artists that, not quite as underground as those, but are kind of like teetering the edge between popular and, kind of underground conscious material. Take, for example, artists like Kendrick Lamar, who put out a pretty good album this year. Not my favorite of his, but still pretty good. But, everyone knows Kendrick pretty much. Whether or not you listen to, like Future or like Migos or some other popular act like that, or you listen to, Run the Jewels or like Brockhampton, some underground stuff like that, Kendrick Lamar might, you might like Kendrick Lamar regardless of which one of those camps you belong to. Or even other artists, take for example like J. Cole. Even though I'm not personally a fan of him, he definitely has more of a conscious style to him that I guess would fall more in line with what Public Enemy would kind of, I guess, want, or kind of what I think they would want based on what they're saying here. And I know that for a fact that Public Enemy aren't like completely oblivious to the side of hip-hop. There's not a chance that that's true. But they just kind of failed to bring it up here, and as a result, they're kind of, by excluding this aspect of hip-hop, this kind of major aspect, this whole kind of underground, more conscious side of hip-hop, that at times does bubble up into the mainstream, they just kind of, paint themselves as kind of like a victim here, I guess you could say, because let's be honest, the style of hip-hop that Public Enemy makes isn't exactly popular here in 2017. It hasn't really been popular in a while, and that's definitely understandable given that it does have an older sound to it, and it has nothing to do with the quality of the music itself. It's just not what's popular, and typically in hip-hop music, it's really about what's right now, what's popular, and that's constantly changing. Now it might be like trap music and mumble rap, things of that sort, but in 10 years it's probably going to be something different. I guarantee that it will be something different. Just like 10 years ago it was something different again, and 10 years before that it was something different. There's I kind of feel like Public Enemy here are just saying that, well, we're not popular anymore, all like lyrical rap is dead as a result, while they're constantly ignoring some of these other artists that are like out there doing well. They also tackle subjects such as social media here, and their message concerning social media, I don't know, like, I completely agree with the fact that people are too attached to social media nowadays and things of that sort, but once again, it's just kind of the presentation of it. It just kind of has a bit of a, kind of a lacking of understanding, especially given that they released this album for free online before, like, I guess it was released in, like, a physical format and things of that sort. It's kind of it's a bit contradictory in my opinion that you go out kind of against this whole internet, against the whole internet age and Twitter and SoundCloud, all these kind of platforms that have kind of helped move forward some of these more popular artists in rap music. But here you kind of did the same thing by releasing this album for free online, like a lot of these artists do. It's a bit contradictory in my opinion. It doesn't exactly hold up in my opinion. I think I'm going to cut myself off there because I could probably spend a long time going deeper into this subject matter. Maybe I will do it in a discussion video one day, but I want to focus here more on Public Enemy. Overall, the message here that they're trying to deliver, it's definitely a good message. I understand what they're trying to get at. I agree with them on a lot of things that they're trying to say. It's just that the way that they're presenting it doesn't exactly work out in my opinion. Here. It just makes them seem a lot older, than they should probably be trying to make themselves seem. Because, in hip-hop music, like I said, seeming old is never really a good thing. I mean, I don't exactly agree with that sentiment that old is bad or anything like that, but especially because Public Enemy have some great material that they released a while ago, of course, but, here they just kind of make themselves seem old. And, that's not exactly something that's going to help them, I think, in the long run. But, with that said, the actual flows here, the delivery of these verses and things of that sort are very enjoyable still. They definitely still have talent when delivering them. And there are some songs that lyrically still do have a decent punch to them. Take the second track, Speak, which, has the P and the E capitalized, like Public Enemy, P-E. That was cool. I really like that track. I like the energy that it had. I mean, most of these tracks here carry a lot of energy to them, but particularly that track, in my opinion, stuck out in my mind as being one of my favorites. So overall, Public Enemy's new record, in my opinion, just kind of ends up being average overall. The beats, like I said earlier, were very good in my opinion. I like kind of the mix between the throwback sound and the kind of hard rock sort of sound that's mixed in there. I like the delivery of all the bars here. I like just the aggression that's provided here. Just that, Public Enemy kind of fight the power energy that I really enjoy seeing. But a lot of what they're saying here, like I said, it's not that it's bad. It's just the way that they're presenting it, I don't think exactly is doing them any favors in the long run. It's kind of a bit odd when this Public Enemy album here, the subject matter that they kind of see as important to be talking about in 2017 is Kanye West's marriage and the fact that Twitter has a 140 character limit on it. I mean, sure, there might be a time and place for talking about that stuff, but it's just. It doesn't seem like that important, especially in 2017 in the United States. There's so much stuff you could talk about. Now, the theory that I kind of have is that some of that material was avoided being talked about here on this project because it might be lyrically a part of the Prophets of Rage project that's coming out in September. Like I said, Chuck D is a part of that, and that's also going to be a very political project because it involves members of Rage Against the Machine, another band that's very political. Just in their lyrics. So I kind of figured that it was going to be a very political project, and so maybe that's why all the political stuff is going to be on that project, and as a result they had to do something different lyrically here. I don't know exactly what it is, but I admire them for maybe going in a bit of a different direction with these lyrics here, trying something new perhaps, definitely addressing the state of hip-hop. I think that's important, but the way that they go about doing it, I just don't think pans out quite as well as they had intended it to do so. But if you're a Public Enemy fan and you're a fan of old school hip-hop and kind of rap rock in general, this is definitely a project that I think you should be checking out because you definitely will get some enjoyment out of this project. Like I said before, the beats are very good. I like the flow of the project all the way through. They make a very cohesive project, I'll give them that here. And the delivery here is very good overall. It's just, the lyrics are not the best in my opinion, but like I said, it can be easily overlooked if you just want to enjoy this album, which is something that many people will definitely want to do. And overall, I think it's a pretty it's average Public Enemy in my opinion. They've done a lot better, but it's definitely possible for this album to have been a lot worse in my opinion. So overall, I think that's my review for this project. If you enjoyed the review, I'd really appreciate if you leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on future album reviews and other music-related content. Make sure you comment down below. What are your thoughts on this album? Did you think the lyrics were a bit off, in my opinion? I haven't really heard any other opinions on this album, to be honest, because no one else has really seemed to review it, at least as of when I'm recording this review or anything like that. So, I'm kind of interested to hear what other people have to say about this project. Thank you for watching, subscribe, and stay golden.